Hey, this is Amy from Motif Music Studios, and I am thrilled to introduce you to Beau Stocker today. Beau is not just an inspiring musician, innovative music educator, and rad human. He also has great taste in footwear and has a PhD and an extensive resume that includes some pretty amazing adventures overseas in the world of music research. It's great to have you here today, Beau, and I can't wait to hear more of your adventures in music. Let's dive in with some burning questions.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. If you think way, way back, what was your first introduction to the world of music and how did that progress into a lifelong career?
I did Orff music. I don't know if that is a thing out here in BC,
Yeah,
but I
absolutely.
played the recorder when I was 3 years old. I did that. Yeah. And I practiced. I really worked at it. I didn't really know why, but I did. I was committed. So I think
I
that,
love that.
that sort of thing that started a music career, or at least an interest and in music. I think, and then of course after that, music sort of just came to me, I guess,
Yeah.
in school.
Oh, I love that. I love how it's like the unexpected things too, and that youthful introduction to music making that kind of can be that hook into something that propels you into a lifelong of music. And continual learning, I think, has been a theme in your life too with music education.
Yep.
Awesome. So, if you were to define, or actually, I was going to say, if you were to give one tip to an aspiring percussionist, what would that be?
Technique. And that is something that goes along with repetition. So getting that technique together and repeating the technical stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happens is when you are out in the performing world or performance situation, then you just perform and you're not worried about the technique because it's there.
Yeah. Awesome. Again, that kind of theme of building foundation early on, right? And I love that I've had that experience as a student of yours, just as a baby beginner, but love the aspect you have with building healthy technique right from the start. And that's something that's great for new percussionists and for percussionists that have been drumming for ages and think, oh, I'm having some obstacles here and I want to grow as a musician. What's holding me back? So I bet you see that lots too, that there's just that wall there and the technique is what brings them forward.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
It could be just a screw loose here and there, and just a matter of to remind you that, oh right, there's a physical element to this, and it works with the mental as well. And
One of the things I was drawn to immediately with your style of instruction was the exploratory aspect of music making use of found objects, just everyday household objects. What inspired that style of introducing others to exploring sound as a way of creating and making music?
being inclusive, I guess, being uh, giving that opportunity to someone um, who has an interest in creating sound and exploring sound, but doesn't have maybe musical training as such or yet. So someone who, yeah, they have something that it's sound is inspiring to them, so they want to create something with it. And I know for me as a percussionist, I'm interested in melody. I'm a very melodic drummer, um, and so then finding sound and actually pitch, which is difficult to talk about with untuned percussion, obviously. But there's certainly sound there. There's timbre elements and all sorts of different kinds of sounds, and then with found objects as well, percussive things. There are loads of sounds that you can create, and that's sort of the concept behind it and the inspiration. But then yeah, I've noticed people who are, yeah, they just get right into creating melodic ideas and things with sounds when they don't have, the pressures, I guess, of finding out which key it is.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. And I love that it not only appeals to someone that's new to music learning and exploring, So I love that you mentioned the accessibility of that. But I also think it's a huge challenge as musicians and people that have been introduced to music for a long time. I think it actually opens up a world of music making for those that have had all the rules and need to kind of break out of that to explore sound in new ways. So I know even the brief introductions I've had with you in the past of found objects kind of really piqued my curiosity of like, oh, what are the sounds around us in the world that we live in, and how can we integrate those as musicians and kind of break the rules in a sense to
Yep.
create new things. So I think that that's so amazing about something that you do. And if anyone's had the chance to be a part of your found object workshops, I think they'd say the same thing. It really just pushes away barriers in that. So I love it.
Yep.
Um, what brings you, I should preface this with the fact that you've been a music educator for a long, long time in lots of different amazing positions, both internationally and here in Canada. And right now at Motif Music Studios, a total honor to work alongside you. And one of the thoughts I had is, what brings you the most satisfaction or joy as a music educator?
Well, for one thing is learning from others, because you learn, as an educator, you learn so much just by teaching someone else, and they discover stuff for you, whatever, and you kind of go, oh right, oh, ooh, that's a great idea. How come I didn't? But that's really exciting, and also that's sort of epiphany that where students, they realize something, and that's I suppose that's two things, isn't it?
Yeah,
Really.
that works. That works.
Yeah. So that yeah, that satisfaction is from getting from that student going. They realize something, and oh wow, and they get it or whatever. It just starts happening, and it starts building that confidence. So I think that's sort of one of those big ones. But then you learn as an educator, learn from students.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. It's multifaceted, and as a fellow educator too, I can really relate to the fact that we're always teaching and being taught, and that's one of our big core values at Motif. And it's not just that we're always developing ourselves professionally, but that we actually learn from the students that we're teaching. And I think I admire that about you, because you come in, you've got all these credentials, all this amazing experience, and yet you're willing to just explore music in such a humble way. So thank you for that. I think it's very, very amazing and inspiring to me as well, and I think others too. And again, it gives accessibility and makes people comfortable. They think, oh, I can explore this. Beau's on my side. And so I love that, and I think it does bring a lot of satisfaction too as an educator. Those light bulb moments is that other thing, isn't it? When you're like, they got it, right? It's this celebration. So
Yep.
that's awesome. And it is true that students of any level really can bring something unique to a beat they're working on, or a percussive element, or a sound they're creating digitally that can inspire us as educators and fellow musicians. So I think that's neat. Yeah, that's awesome. You've more recently returned to the Comox Valley. I've lost a couple years in there because I've had all these babies. So I was like, oh, he's just arrived. And I was like, no, that was a few years ago. But do you have a favorite destination so far? Like, where would you go hang out on a weekend in the Comox Valley here?
Well, there's the beach in Union Bay.
Yes.
That's a great one to walk along. And even though there's all that coal, like the black sand that's been tainted by the years of coal mining, it's still it's really peaceful, really, just walking along there. It's great.
Yeah, we live in such a beautiful location. So for anyone who hasn't lived here, I mean, I feel deep sorrow for you, but yeah, and that Union Bay, that's a really unique spot, and it's got so much history there too, which is kind of cool to dive into. So I love that. So I'm just double checking. So the last question here, you've been diving into ways of exploring technology alongside online music students. And I was just thinking, what are some of the ways you're seeing students enjoy creating music using technology? That's something maybe new to you in the last decade as well.
Well, the online setting, the virtual setting, it affords lots of creation with digital music making, just from websites, even going and creating that. But then you can have the other element of creating visuals along with that. So some people are, they have that visual thing they're into creating, and then the sounds kind of go with that. But then the others, are more just with sounds and the technology, the software that goes along with that. So I think it's different applications of music making, and some of those newer applications are in forms of apps on a tablet or even a phone. And they have, but then also there's a software version of it. So you have like 2 or 3 different versions, and they have some of them have already pre-created musical melodies and musical concepts, drum grooves, and even sounds that you can grab right away, and you can put into a piece of music, and you can create something really, really quickly. So I think that's been a bit of a new one for me as an improviser, and creating everything from the ground up, even the structure of the music from nothing. That has been a bit of a challenge to try and go, okay, right. So we've done the 10 steps already. So fine. We can let's see what we can do with that. And then you look at it as, okay, well then let's change the timbre of that sound. Let's now stretch it out. Make the tempo really, really low or slow, and whatever. So that's been really interesting. A lot of students are exploring with already these chunks of sounds and of music, and manipulating them their own way. So that's been interesting, and a couple of steps to the side for me as well.
Yeah. Well, I love that. And again, it just speaks to your flexibility and experience as an educator, because seriously, not everyone can just leap into this new online forum and then dive into saying, hey, we're actually going to use technology in super positive ways. Like, we're going to dive into, you've done so much. You've dove into using the microbit and creating digital composition and creating sound with that, and having students really innovate and create melody in technological ways. Is that even a word? And then you've explored new kind of recording programs, and like you said, software, which is incredible. And again, guiding students in that process is no easy task, because we've all got different types of technology at our disposal, but you've really guided that in beautiful ways with students. And then I love what you're doing with sound creation too, and bringing in some of the Foley arts sort of aspect of things, is like creating sound and matching it with visuals and things like that. So I think that is such a unique offering for you as an educator, and a space that you're able to go in quite expanded ways, but it's unique that you're starting with students even with no background in that before, which is you're brave, Beau. You're brave.
Well, I hope it inspires them to to go and delve into music a little further, if those who haven't done like a composition class with Amy, or piano, or what I mean, like that's it's sort of a cycle in a way. It's the community of music language learners.
Yeah. I love that aspect too, and I think that we're always hoping that students will just be inspired to use what they have, start where they are, use the time that they have, but then transform that and have it inspire further music making in the future, right? And like you say, right now there's stuff that they can capture, some elements already that have been done for them, but how cool if they start to do those steps themselves in the future as their skills build. But again, I love that you're taking students with whatever they have to start with, and I think that's really, again, unique, and it's certainly inspiring to me as a colleague, and I'm just super excited to see students with that amazing opportunity too, that they can literally start with what they have in their house, creating sound right away. So that's cool. And I think always, as music through the ages, there's a sense of that innovation is what propels us into the next era of music too. And so I think you're a real leader in that, and able to nurture that is a whole other aspect, because you've done it from the music researcher and professional level, but then also being able to propel others into innovation is a unique skill. So I'm just like, awesome.
Wow, thanks.
You're welcome. I know, when you just let me go at a microphone, you just never know what I'm going to say. Anyway, so thanks again for joining me today, Beau. I've said some of this before, but it's a total honor to work with you as both a colleague, and I got to be a baby drum student beginner, and I'm hoping to return again this fall. And I never thought I'd be drumming as an adult, and I hope that's encouraging to others too, that sometimes you're like, hey, I'm 41, I need a new interest. Try drumming, right? It's a great physical, it gets your brain charged and working, and I love that. So if you as a viewer have any more questions to ask Beau, be sure to drop them in the comments below. And you can also reach out to us at motifmusicstudios@gmail.com to find out more information about the unique programs we offer with Beau at Motif Music Studios. And those include percussion lessons, drum kit, world percussion, digital composition, and a foray into the world of the Foley arts, from beginners to advancing musicians looking to level up their skills. So thanks again, Beau, and I'll see you next time.
Yeah, thanks, Amy.